with the one that I prepared myself. I prepared with Alice Newton, and it's some work that she has led, trying to see the potential for the need from a end user perspective and manager perspective. But lots of people help us to put this together. So as we all know, we are facing this challenge of trying to achieve the good environmental status of our marine waters. But the thing is, what is good? And if we look at the two photos that are coming up, it might be a bit obvious what might be at least visually good and what is not. However, we all know that it's not as simple. We have these 11 descriptors, and this is adding up a lot of complexity, especially for some of them, like the biodiversity descriptor, in which we've been working in both. But also we have this complexity that is added by the whole complexity of the marine system, that we have a whole range of ecosystem components ranging from microbes to the seabirds. The Marine Strategy Framework Directive is giving us some guidelines on how we can get to this good environmental status and how we can assess that. And the boats we've been trying to align with this Marine Strategy Framework Directive, trying to test and develop new indicators, models, and tools to get there, and to spread this here and somewhere else. There is not an only solution to this, for this assessment. There are many options. All of them might be valid. We have from the one out, all out principle when it comes to assessment, but we also have the high level of integration, which is the one that we have opted for within the boats, thinking that that's the understanding of the MSFD. And for that, we developed the NEAT tool, that we heard lots about it, which we think is very transparent and very flexible and very adaptive, and contains lots of information already in it. But this is our perspective, but we wanted to see if an end user manager wants to use it, whether they will see the same thing. And for that, we interviewed all the case study leaders that use the NEAT tool, trying to see whether this skepticism can be removed or not. I was skeptic about trying this pecha kucha, and we are always reluctant to that, and we might be reluctant to use NEAT, so we want to see whether we can remove that with this questionnaire that we performed. So we interviewed, as I said, all the case study leaders that performed a NEAT assessment, plus one that attempted to do so and didn't manage, because we wanted to see why this case study didn't manage to implement the NEAT tool. And we distributed, we performed a survey that included a series of questions that range from what kind of information people were able to put into the NEAT tool, whether the data they managed to put in was adequate or not, their experience using it was easy, difficult, the outcomes that they got, whether they really reflecting what they could expecting, being familiar with the area, and whether they could see some issues that should be overcome. We found that for some of the descriptors there was quite a lot of information, but for others we didn't have so much information. We saw that there was lack of data for the marine mammals and the seabirds, and that most of the data that was being used wasn't really stemming from the MSFD monitoring, but from other programs. The people answered that there was lots of data available, but that data was quite scattered at times. We also saw that some of the big variability between the number of indicators that people have when they put data in, so ranging from 13 to 180 indicators. And for some cases, there were lack of targets, and we have to define that. The good part also was that people were quite happy with the output that they got, because whether it was good, their assessment or not, quite fit into what they were expecting, knowing the area well, and knowing that the data that they put into the assessment. And that fit also together with the uncertainty. They were quite happy with the uncertainty levels that they were obtained, because that matched with the data that they have. Also in this assessment, they could visualize the outputs by biological components, by habitat types, and also filtering by descriptor. That allowed for a lot of transparency in the process and traceability. Some of the issues that were highlighted is that some indicators, they're associated to species that have broad distributional ranges, and because NEAT is based on area and special assessment units, some of those indicators might give a higher value, a higher weight to the assessments. And also that we cannot compare at the moment what we are doing in one case study to another because we are using different information. And the most important thing is that we need to put those classes and see what the outputs that we get, whether they, trying to understand what's the output and looking at the data behind it. Some challenges that we also saw is that people have some problems to access to the data, and was suggested that all the outputs have to be open access and sent to repositories, and then being able to extract that information in an easy way that is ready to use. And we need to be very careful in cleaning that data, and sometimes we might need to have fit-for-purpose data. Finally, it was also, not finally, but nearly done, it was suggested that we need to do sometimes more monitoring that's fit-for-purpose, so we reduce a bit the uncertainty in our outputs when we do the assessments. For some of the challenges that we are facing is that we have to develop more indicators, and in many cases we have to set up targets and reference conditions. And for that we are lucky, and it was mentioned in the survey that we have modeling, new techniques, new modeling that can help us to do this. We have satellite technology, etc., that will help. We have to focus on those descriptors that were not the focus of the vote itself, because it seems that for some of them there is a lack of information. And the very most important thing is that whoever is performing an assessment, it has to be very familiar with the area. So whatever the outcome is well interpreted. And I think that's the summary of one of the deliverables that was led by Alice, and lots of people contributed to answering this question. So thank you to you.